There are just 7 players on the Philadelphia Eagles' current roster that were with the team when they won it all back in February of 2018, many of which are franchise legends and future Hall of Famers, but there is one pretty notable player of the bunch that isn't often talked about, and that guy is Derek Barnett. Barnett has had a very interesting career so far with the Eagles, from making hugely important plays to some stupid penalties to some injury issues, and just overall not living up to the hype. It's safe to say that Barnett's career has largely been a disappointment so far, and now he's down to his final chance with the Eagles in 2023. So the question must be asked, is Barnett's time as an Eagle coming to a close, or is there still hope that he can redeem himself and become the player that the Eagles always believed he could be? Well, we're going to talk all about that in today's video, so let's not waste any time and get straight into it. The Philadelphia Eagles selected Derek Barnett with the 14th overall pick in the first round of the 2017 NFL Draft, and of course, the Eagles selected Barnett in hopes of him becoming something special. I mean, at Tennessee, Barnett had some very impressive production as he broke pretty much all of Reggie White's records at Tennessee, which then obviously led to him drawing comparisons to NFL legend Reggie White, which is obviously incredibly high praise, and Barnett also earned the nickname the Sack Master, so there's no doubt that people thought of him very highly coming out of college, and the Eagles obviously had very high expectations for him moving into the future. In his first season in the league, Barnett definitely showed a good amount of promise. He didn't get to start for the Eagles, as at the time their starting defensive ends were Brandon Graham and Vinnie Curry, but he still was able to produce in the limited role he had as a rotational defensive end. In his rookie season, he racked up 21 combined tackles for 5 sacks, 1 forced fumble, and 2 fumble recoveries, one of which he returned for a touchdown, so obviously that's pretty good production given the small role that he had, and he also had 2 extremely crucial plays during the course of the Eagles' Super Bowl run. One was a strip sack versus the Minnesota Vikings in the NFC Championship game, where the Vikings were going down the field. They were in the red zone in attempts to tie the game at 14, but Barnett comes around and gets the strip sack on Case Keenum. The Eagles get the ball back, and then they go back down the field and score a touchdown of their own, give them a 2-touchdown lead at that point. So it was kind of a momentum flipping play, and then obviously Barnett also had an incredibly huge play in the Super Bowl where he recovered the fumble that Brandon Graham forced on Tom Brady that ultimately ended up winning the Eagles that game and making them world champions. That was arguably the biggest play in Eagles history, and Derek Barnett had a huge role in it, and obviously I'll be forever grateful for those 2 moments as an Eagles fan. Pretty much all of his best moments in the NFL came in his rookie season, but ever since then, it's been rather disappointing for Barnett. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's had his moments, but for the most part, he just really hasn't ever taken that big step forward that the Eagles and their fans hoped that he would take, and this isn't to say that Barnett has been absolutely horrible ever since his rookie year. I mean, he's definitely had a couple solid years. In 2019, he had a career-high 6.5 sacks, which definitely is not bad. 2020, he had 5.5 sacks, and then in 2021, he had a career-high 46 tackles, and believe it or not, he was also a very effective one-on-one pass rusher that year, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that later. But it's just that when you're compared to Reggie White, obviously an all-time NFL legend, one of the best pass rushers this game has ever seen, coming out of college, the bar is set extremely high, and although it's unfair to have put that amount of expectations on him, and there's just no way he was ever going to live up to that, I do think it was fair to expect him to at least become a guy that could get you 7, 8, 9, 10 plus sacks on a regular basis year in and year out, and just overall become a more positively impactful player. He never really has turned into a player that you have to game plan for, and I think that's what the Eagles were hoping for when they drafted him. So he definitely has disappointed in terms of production overall. However, it isn't really even his shortcomings in terms of production that serve as the biggest problem with Barnett. I mean, just for starters, one of the biggest mistakes that he's made just in life in general is that he has not subscribed to the Philly Fan 21 YouTube channel, which provides consistent Eagles content throughout the entire year. But in all seriousness, 80% of the people that watch these videos are not subscribed. So if you're one of those people and you're enjoying the content, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I think it's a win-win for both of us. Barnett's main issue throughout his career has been his tendency to commit the absolute dumbest penalties at the worst possible times, and he unfortunately has kind of developed the reputation of being a dirty player. I mean, the first one of these kinds of plays that I can remember came versus the Green Bay Packers in the 2019 NFL season, where Nigel Bradham wrapped up Jamal Williams around the line of scrimmage, and the play was coming to an end, and the ref was about to blow the whistle, and Barnett just comes flying in and delivers a pretty hard late hit on Williams when he was completely defenseless, and there was some pretty significant helmet-to-helmet contact on that play. Jamal Williams ends up getting injured, and he had to get carted off the field on a stretcher. I guess you could argue that Barnett wasn't really playing dirty and he was just playing till the whistle blew, but it just seemed unnecessary with the amount of force and the way he came in and hit Williams. But again, there's an argument to be made that it wasn't necessarily dirty, but unfortunately, ever since this play happened, Barnett's reputation definitely took a hit, and making these kinds of stupid plays sort of became a trend for him. I mean, another big example is there was this one particular play that Barnett had against Dallas in 2021 that wasn't dirty at all, but it was pretty stupid, and Nick Sirianni, who was coaching just his third game at the time, didn't like it at all. Basically, Barnett went off sides at a bad time in the game that helped Dallas extend their drive, and then the camera cut to Sirianni on the sideline where he appeared to mouth the words, "It's always him." So that definitely was not a good look for Derek Barnett, and overall 2021 was just a really rough year for Barnett in terms of stupid and unnecessary plays. I mean, he had 4 unnecessary roughness penalties throughout the course of that season, one in the playoffs versus the Buccaneers that was pretty significant. Now, this didn't account for other types of inopportune penalties that he committed as well, like the offsides or just other penalties like face mask or whatever it may be. That didn't account for all those. He had plenty of those throughout the course of that season as well that helped other teams extend their drives, and they consistently were coming at pretty inopportune times. I think at this point, Eagles fans had pretty much seen enough of this guy, mainly because of this issue of him committing all these penalties at the wrong time, but apparently the Eagles weren't ready to give up on him just yet. As despite all these penalties, there was something that he did in the 2021 season that went kinda unnoticed, and it's rather shocking. Now, this stat comes from December 14th of 2021, so it wasn't at the end of the season, but still, at this point, very late in that season, Derek Barnett was 5th in the entire NFL in terms of pass rush win rate versus the single team with a 28.7% win percentage, which is rather shocking considering that he only finished with just 2 sacks on the season. I mean, I guess he just wasn't able to finish it off and get the sack, but he certainly was beating his man and getting pressure on the quarterback, and maybe this and the talent that Barnett still clearly possessed caused the Eagles to re-sign Barnett to a 2-year deal in the offseason of 2022. A move not too many Eagles fans were super happy about, but Howie Roseman, the Eagles general manager, defended this decision to bring back Barnett as he said, quote, "I think that perception of Derek is probably not fair with the reality." And this is him referring to the dirty plays and the penalties that he's always committing. And he continued on later saying, quote, "Obviously his playing temperament is ideal, fits Philly, he understands the perception of him and the 1,000 untimely moments, but this is a guy who certainly contributes to a great defensive line. We've seen it with us. I think that going into free agency, he probably thought a little differently about where he would be, and for us, understanding that that's what he was thinking, and he got to a point where it's a huge priority to us to have a wave defensive line that's really good. We know we can count on him." And Sirianni also expressed confidence in Barnett that offseason after re-signing him as well, saying, quote, "Derek Barnett is everything that embodies what we want in the characteristics of a player. He's tough, he's competitive, he's got high football IQ, he's got high character, he loves football. I love Derek Barnett. I love the type of player and person that he is." So, at least openly, it seemed like the Eagles had very high hopes for Barnett heading into the 2022 NFL season, and it was pretty clear that his role was going to be greatly reduced from previous years in his career, but they were confident that he could be effective and very successful in that role, as well as confident in his abilities to correct those mistakes of committing these untimely penalties. However, Barnett never really got a chance to redeem himself in 2022, as in Week 1 versus the Detroit Lions, he unfortunately suffered a season-ending ACL tear, which is obviously a very unfortunate break for him, and Nick Sirianni continued to show support for Barnett after he went down with that injury, saying, quote, "It's a big blow for us. I love the way Derek Barnett comes to work every single day and plays with grittiness and toughness and nasty. I am a huge Derek Barnett fan, and he will be missed." Now, the Eagles then went on to have a 70-sack season, which was the 3rd greatest team sack total in the history of the NFL and the best in Eagles history, so I don't know if he was really missed all that much, but who knows. And now we can fast forward to present day, where we are getting closer and closer to the start of the 2023 NFL season, and this is probably Derek Barnett's last chance to prove himself and give himself the opportunity to remain with the Philadelphia Eagles past this year, and if not with the Philadelphia Eagles, then prove himself to be a valuable asset for any other team out there that might want to take a chance on him. Now, earlier this offseason, in fact, not very long ago, there were rumors out there that Derek Barnett could actually be cut by the Philadelphia Eagles this offseason, which I thought was very interesting at the time, but now it's seeming more and more like that won't happen, as Derek Gunn on Jakib Sports explained why he thinks the Eagles aren't ready to give up on Derek Barnett at this time. He said, quote, "In no way, shape, or form is this team ready to give up on Derek Barnett yet. Say what you want to say about him. You can talk about last season and look at the numbers they put up without him last year. You can talk about his mental mistakes from previous years, but Derek Barnett does have talent. He has capability. I don't think they're ready to give up on him yet. The contract that he's under right now is not restraining them in any way, shape, or form. The only way Derek Barnett doesn't make this team is Derek Barnett plays his way out of being among the Philadelphia Eagles in 2023. Barnett has the opportunity to come in here and contribute significantly, and he should be self-motivated because he had to sit here and watch what his team accomplished without him. And in addition to this, one of his best teammates on the defensive side of the ball expressed his confidence in Barnett recently as well, as Darius Slay quote tweeted a post from Jakib Sports where they said the Eagles still waiting on former first-round pick Derek Barnett to break through, and he said he will this year for sure. I mean, there's absolutely no question that Barnett has the ability to do just that. And there was a very interesting graphic that came out from Chat Sports recently that made me think a little bit, because it compared Derek Barnett's first 6 seasons in the NFL to that of Eagles legend Brandon Graham's. And now remember, many Eagles fans thought that Brandon Graham was a bust early in his career as well, and obviously we know how that's turned out. Brandon Graham has turned into one of the best Eagles of all time. Just keep that in mind, but the graphic shows that in their first 6 seasons, Derek Barnett played in 65 games while Brandon Graham played in 80. Barnett had 21.5 sacks while BG had 23.5. Barnett had 76 quarterback hits to Brandon Graham's 43. Barnett had 92 quarterback hurries to Brandon Graham's 179, and Barnett had 36 tackles for loss to Brandon Graham's 38. So obviously those are very similar numbers, and it's interesting because Barnett has played significantly less games than Graham did. Now look, I'm not saying that Derek Barnett is going to become the next Brandon Graham, but there's no denying that Barnett has the ability to become a good player in this league, and I think if he's given the opportunity and if he develops, he could probably get you 7, 8, 9, 10 sacks per year consistently. The problem is, I just don't think he's going to get the opportunity that he needs to do that on this Eagles team the way it's constructed now, with guys like Haason Reddick and Brandon Graham, Josh Sweat, and Nolan Smith all ahead of him on the depth chart, which is why a lot of people think that Derek Barnett should be traded by the Eagles this offseason. The Eagles could get some value back for him, and then Barnett could have the opportunity to have a bigger role on another team and prove that he could be a good player and potentially earn more money by having a breakout season that way. So I think that would actually make a lot of sense, but if what Derek Gunn said is true and the Eagles aren't ready to give up on him just yet, then Barnett's going to have to come in here and make the most of the opportunity he does have on this team behind all these guys. And I'm not exactly looking for Barnett to come out here and get you 8, 9, 10 sacks. I'm just looking for him to take advantage of those opportunities. Can he finish the sacks after beating his man, which he's proven he's able to do in the past? I actually think that playing alongside some of these other really talented players the Eagles have on the defensive line right now is going to help Derek Barnett and make it easier for him to get more sacks in the opportunities that he does get this year. But then more importantly, what I'm looking to see from Barnett this season is, can he be smart? Can he avoid the boneheaded mistakes? If he does those two things, I think he will be a good piece for this Eagles defensive line this year. And then maybe he can earn another contract from the Eagles, or he can entice another team to give him a little bit more money to play a more significant role. Or who knows, maybe he just goes back to his old ways and disappoints once again, and then I believe his future in the NFL could be filled with uncertainty, because who would want a player that doesn't make a huge positive impact that also continues to make stupid mistakes at the worst possible time? I don't know who would want that on their team. So we'll see how he does. I'm definitely rooting for him, and hopefully he's able to take advantage of his final opportunity to prove that he belongs with this Eagles team. But let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. How well do you think Derek Barnett will perform this season in his final chance to prove himself? I'd love to hear your guys' opinions. And if you did enjoy this video, make sure you drop a like and subscribe so you don't miss others like it coming in the future. And if you want to watch another Eagles video, you can go watch this one right here. And now with all that being said, that's pretty much all I got for this one, guys. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.